Okay, I think this is going to be one of the most useful videos you will have ever watched to grow your coaching or creator business. I am pretty certain of it. Unless you're above 50K a month and you have inbound leads coming into your inbox every single day, what I'm about to share with you is going to completely change the way that you look at marketing, that you look at producing content, and you even look at your offer. We're going to go into how to actually produce content that gets pre-sold leads into your inbox every single week. Leads that want to work with you and nobody else, and they're already sold on your offer. So you might even be able to just send over a Google document like me and my clients do and close them with a Google document and not even need a sales call, right? Instead of what most coaches have to do once they've signed up the friends and family in their local area, which is go on the hunt, go and DM a million people, get setters and send out DMs and have to do loads of outreach to get someone that might kind of want coaching and then having to do a load of selling on the call and convincing to get them in. I'm going to show you how to actually produce content that actually gets sales. And this isn't going to be stuff you've heard before. This isn't going to be top 10 hooks to get people's attention. This isn't going to be an AI bot that can create 20 posts in 44 seconds. This is going to be real, timeless stuff that surprisingly no one does and no one talks about, that your entire content creation and your entire marketing should be based around, that very few people actually do. And this is going to be so impactful because for most coaches and creators, the main lever that we are pulling, the main thing that you're doing every single day to get new business is organic content. So if we can get it right, and it's not about how you're writing, and it's not about how you're designing it, and it's not about your hooks, but if we can get the core of that content right, which is what I'm going to show you in this video, it will make a huge difference. Okay, so let's get into it. I know I've hyped it up, but I'm serious. This is honestly stuff that you probably haven't heard before, and it's crazy that you probably haven't, because this should be taught in school. Right, so why do most coaches never get inbound leads anymore, right? Why do most coaches, once they start, they sign up their friends and family in their local area, and then they are forced to go and do outbound, to go and chase people up, to go and look through who's watching their stories and say, hi mate, what dog do you have? And start to pretend to be friends with people and shit like that just to get the client. Why does this happen? It's because most coaches look at and they're producing content every day. And that's the funny thing about this. This is why this video is going to give you such a big ROI, because this is something you do every single day. And if we can do it better, it's going to make a huge difference. So they're producing content every single day. The problem is they look at their core offer, the thing they actually sell, the thing that they actually deliver, the thing that they actually do, and their content as two isolated pieces, right? They look at their core offer as the thing that they sell and the thing that they do, and then they see themselves as, okay, I'll put the content creator hat on now, and then they go and create content. And they see it as two different things, right? So they see their content creation as pretty much, what tip shall I tell these people today? And they're thinking, what will people like to see? One of the pet peeves of mine is when coaches will go on their stories on Instagram and say, hi guys, I'm going to do my content day on Wednesday. What do you want to see? It's a complete wrong framing, right? We're not there to serve your audience, right? We're not there just to entertain them. We are supposed to be the leaders showing them the way out of their pain, right? They should not be the ones to dictate what they need from us, unless you are a professional content creator who's going to get paid just for content, which is not what we're trying to do here. right? So understanding that role, first of all, is really, really important. Second mindset, and I've gone straight off into some tips. I'm not even reading this right now, but second mindset shift as well, by the way. I don't even think I wrote it in here, but a mindset shift that I want to drill down to people. Number one, you are not a content creator, right? I see people, oh, I'm a coach, so 90% of my job is content creation. No, it's not. If you start to think of yourself as a content creator and you start to produce in that way, you're probably going to get followers. If you're looking at, oh, what's the viral trends, and you're going and doing these viral trends and shit like that, you're probably going to get followers, you're probably going to get likes, probably going to get engagement, you're probably not going to get any sales, and you're probably going to be broke. So we need to know the game that we're playing. Number two, mindset shift, to start to understand. Most coaches think that their audience is their business. This is married to the other mindset that they have, which is that they think that they are a content creator. Most coaches think that their audience is their business. When we start to think in that way, we start to think that we start to think around this obstacle. It's like, oh, I don't want to upset my audience, or oh, I want to make sure that I keep my audience happy, and I want to make sure that I give my audience what they want. The mindset shift to make if you want to make real money in your coaching or creating business is: your audience exists for you to find the 100 people every single year who want to become clients. You're not posting to make your audience happy. You're not posting to go viral. You are posting to send out signals and the right things so you can get 100 people every single year out of the thousands that are going to be seeing this to vibe with you and to want to work with you. That's what your audience exists for. When we stop seeing it as something we need to please, and often something that we become imprisoned by, and we start to see it as the pool that we are fishing in to find the 100 people that we're actually going to serve and we're actually going to transform the life of, everything changes. Anyway, I've just already gone off on a tangent. That's not even what I was going to talk about today. Let's get into it. So what do most coaches do that is wrong? They see these are two isolated pieces, right? Core offer and content. Content is random bits of value. And they do three things. Number one, they just try to promote coaching, right? So they think, let's say it's a fitness coach and they're like, I want to do some marketing. I want some sales. What am I going to do? Okay, let's make people want coaching. So they're like, guys, you're never going to be able to get to your goal if you haven't got a coach, because a coach keeps you accountable. This is why I've got a coach too. What they don't realize is they're marketing for all of coaching, right? You're not just marketing for yourself. You're marketing for the idea of them getting a coach. What happens then? They might go to someone else, or they might book a call with you and 3 other coaches and say, I'm just shopping around, or I'm just shopping on price, which is not what we want. We want to be able to get leads who are sold on us. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. Number 2, trying to make, what am I reading here? Trying to just make people want the result effectively. Again, marketing for everyone. So again, let's just take a fitness coach, for example. It's nice and easy. Everyone understands fitness. We probably all train, should do at least. They will think, okay, I want some sales. I want to do some marketing. What should I do? I'm going to make them want fat loss. So you start saying life's better when you're losing body weight. Life's better when you're confident in your body and stuff. Again, there's nothing wrong with sprinkling that in, but I want you to understand something. You're not just marketing for yourself here again. You are marketing for everyone, right? So if someone's seeing both of these 2 different types of posts, they're like, cool, I want to coach and I want to lose body fat. But they don't necessarily want to do it with you. And all of this, I believe, just comes down to one thing. They're posting and not marketing. They're not understanding what marketing actually is. And this is exactly what I'm going to show you in this video, right? So what happens when we start to do all of this? This forces coaches and creators to need to rely on outbound strategies to go and kind of find anyone, which is why they get an army of setters and they spend most of their time DMing people, which is not the job that you came into this for. They spend a lot of time pretending to be people's friends. Oh, what was that last holiday you went on, and all this kind of stuff. And then the selling begins in the sales conversation, right? So then you try and do everything you can to get a call, and then the selling begins in the sales conversation, right? The way that I'm about to show you, we start the actual selling when they're consuming your content. So if you do this right, like me and many of my clients, you can actually close clients in a Google document. Now it's funny, I've been teaching people to use Google Documents and close clients in them for 2 years now. This year, so over the last 4 months, lots of people have been teaching people to sell by document because it's kind of everywhere now. And it sells well. Problem is, not a lot of people actually understand how it works. They think that they just need to explain their coach their offer in a document and that's it. It's really not. There's many parts to it. One of the biggest parts is what I'm about to show you today, which is people need to be pre-sold on ideas, the ideas within your core offer, before they're going to be pre-sold, right? That's the task of your marketing, is pre-selling people, okay? So let's get into it. I've spent a long time on this. I don't know how long this video is going to go for, but my energy's good today. We're flowing. This is going to be a good video. So what makes content actually bring in pre-sold leads? When I say pre-sold leads, by the way, just so I don't have to keep repeating myself, what I mean is the leads that come into your inbox and they're like, if it's me, it's like, Louis, I really, I want to work with you. How can we get started? I know that I need the multi-tier offer, right? They're already sold, not on just wanting a coach, not on just wanting the result, but they're sold on you and your ways. So how do we do this? So content actually brings in pre-sold leads inbound when it shows why your coaching is different and desirable. Okay? This is huge in marketing. Most coaches and creators don't think about this enough. When we're trying to sell something and we are in a very busy market, which basically every coach and creator is nowadays, you need to set yourself apart with something different and desirable. And just because you've done your hair different or you have questionable political views, that's not usually enough. It needs to be different and desirable in the way that you get people results. And it can't just be, I give you loads of accountability, because everyone does that, or everyone says they do that at least, right? So content that actually sells is going to show them why your coaching is different and desirable. Next, when it sells them on not just the coaching, but on your way. So there's a really big mindset shift I want you to have here as well, right? Which is, so many coaches naturally, because it's easy content to make, they naturally lean towards kind of selling their audience on wanting the result. So let's say, again, if it's fat loss, they sell their audience on wanting the result. Or maybe it's, if it's me, selling, helping coaches build their business and make more money, selling coaches on wanting more money. That's quite pointless, because if they don't already want more money or they don't already want fat loss, it's going to be much harder sell than someone already that does, right? And there are going to be people in there that are already wanting body fat loss, or they're already wanting money, or whatever else you sell, and we want to hone in on those. So when we do focus on those, then you're like, well, what do I talk about then? You talk about your way. So if you're helping people, if I'm helping people make money, well then what is the way in which I help people make money? And that is the thing that I need to sell people on, so they're going to be sold on me and no one else. And we're going to go into all of this. We're going to go deeper, trust me. And finally, what makes content actually sell? When it sells them on the ideas necessary for them to choose you over anyone else. So we first need to identify what are the ideas someone needs to be sold on so they will choose me over anyone else. If that's not clear to you, and that's going to be in your way and your different and desirable approach to actually getting the result, if that's not already clear to you, then you need to go back a step further and ask yourself, what unique ideas can I include in my core offer? This is why inside the Aligned Creator, which is my program, the biggest thing that we spend so long on is the core offer, because the core offer includes so many things that spread out into everything else. The core offer is the heart of the entire business. So all of this stems from a unique and well thought out core offer. And I'm going to share how we want to be thinking about this next. I'm not going to go into every single aspect of the offer because there's so many, but I'm going to go into how you may want to think about your offer and a framework that you may want to use to think about the messaging around your offer and these core ideas, right? So here it is. I've handwritten it for you. So it is, how do I zoom in here? 1 second, guys. We start with the what, the way, and the why, right? So the what, the way, and the why is pretty much going to be your core offer, or the messaging or the tagline around it. So the what is what do you do? The way is how do you do it? And the why is that actually important to you and the people that you work with, right? So most people, they only have a what. So the what is like the surface level outcome that you're helping people achieve, right? The what is 20 pounds body fat loss in 90 days. Some people don't even have that. They just say, I'm a fat loss coach, right? But most people stop here. This is why they have a hard time with everything else when it comes to marketing and knowing the ideas to sell people on, because they don't even have any ideas. They just have the what that they do. If we have this as the what, you're going to have a very hard time because we haven't got ideas to sell people on. So then we have a way. Well, what is the way that you do it versus someone else? So now we've got ideas to sell people on, because now we can start to think about how can we make them want our way versus someone else's. We now can position ourselves properly in the market because we can throw stones at another way to make it really clear where we stand so people can choose us. And then a why. So we can show the bigger picture. We can show where this fits into their overall life. And the why allows us to share some of our values, and hopefully that matches up with the people that are looking and they become a perfect fit client of ours. So let me give you an example of this, right? So what might be, I help men lose 20 pounds in 90 days. Okay, cool. And then you're going to talk about that all the time. You're going to make people want to do that. You're not going to have much to sell, which is why you're going to default to just random tips or random Aldi high protein hauls or stupid shit like that. Instead of that, we want to include a way and then a why. So let's take it again. I help men lose 20 pounds in 90 days. So maybe the what we're going to change to make it a bit more specific to I help dads lose 20 pounds in 90 days, the way, without needing to go to the gym or missing out on family or missing out on their family dinner. Why? So that they can be the best dad they can to their kids and be present with their family, right? Can you see how we now have some other ideas to sell people on? Now the way we have to sell people on, because now we can talk about why as a dad, you should not be training in the gym and you can get 20-minute workouts done in your living room. I would not like that, by the way, but I'm just saying you can get 20-minute workouts done in the living room. You don't have to eat out of Tupperware and you can continue to have that family meal, right? Do you see how this is working? Let's take a business coach example, right? So the what could be, I help coach, let's just do like the most generic one. I help coaches build a 10K per month business in 6 months. All right, let's use that. Everyone's going to want that, but there's not many ideas around it, right? It's going to be very hard to get someone to choose you over anyone else. So how about this? I help coaches build a 10K per month business in 6 months with a paid school community and only needing to send 1 email a day for their marketing. Do you see how now we can actually start to have things to sell them on? We've got ideas now. We can make them known in the market. We can become known for these ideas. We can have mechanisms, which we're going to get to in a second, around these things. And we can spend our time focusing on that. And then the why. So you can work 3 hours a day, impact the world, get your make 10K a month and continue to travel the world or something like that. So again, we can start to show some values and stuff. That was probably not the best one. I kind of forgot all the rest. But do you see how the what, the way and the why can start to add some more ideas on? Right? So that's the first thing you want to start thinking about. And I promise you, we're going to get to content in a second, but this is the stuff that has to come before. So now that we've got the what, the way and the why, there's 2 more pieces that start to really give your core offer a lot of character. So number 1 is the how. So how do you do it? So let's take the fitness coach example because everyone understands it. It's nice and easy. And I quite like that one that I said. So it was like, lose 20 pounds in 90 days for dads without needing to go to the gym or missing family dinner time so that you can blah, 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 right? So then we want to then create a how. So how do they actually do it? So what we then start to build out is your actual signature process and mechanisms. So there's something in marketing called unique mechanisms, right? Which is a way of you being able to do something that you are talking about that nobody else has. Most of the time, when it comes to something to do with fitness or personal development and stuff like this, you're not going to be able to, you're not a scientist. You're not going to go and create new science and figure out a whole new way. So your job, when you start to come up with these mechanisms, isn't to go and figure out a whole new way of things to do. It's to find the balance between the science and principles that you know exist and the real life application of it. You marry the two together, and within that, you begin to find your unique mechanisms for your people, for the people that you're working with. So this coach helping dads, he might have the 25-minute home workout system or something like that, right? So we use the 25-minute home workout system, so you can get up 30 minutes before earlier. You can get your entire day's session done in the living room before you even leave the house for work. And then we could create the 2-in-1 nutrition system. So you only need to track 2 of your meals per day, and stick to these specific guidelines in this specific framework. So that final meal with your family, you can eat freely and you don't have to track it. So it doesn't get in the way of dinner and stuff like that. Right? So we can start to create these mechanisms, and we can start to put that into a signature process, your signature process that you own, that helps this specific person get to A to B in your specific way. Right? Then, and we're going to talk about this in a second, your job in content is to give this context. What does that mean? So, and now we're getting onto the content piece, by the way. Now we're starting to show how people can actually get pre-sold. So let's say you've got the 25-minute workout system. You start to give it context. You show yourself doing it. You show your clients doing it. You show a really good client result. And instead of just saying, James worked really, really hard and he got a great result, you say, you start to give context around his life. James had 2 kids and he's tried before by going to the gym and everything else, and it's never gone well. But when James joined me, we installed the 25-minute workout system. He was now able to work out 5 times a day, Monday to Friday, before work. And his energy was high, and everything was done before he even left the house to go to work. And then we can start to add context to the rest. So we can start to inject into your content the context around all of these different pieces that you have, right? So then we show them in action, and then we can even give them a taste, right? So one of the things that we do is micro offers. So we can even rip one of these mechanisms out and sell it as its own standalone thing to turn leads into customers and then turn them into clients. But we'll talk about that on another video. And then on the other side of this, we have the who. So we've got the what, the way, the why, and how, and then we've also got the who, which is, who do they become? Who do they become on the other side of this? Because they are going to be, most of the time, making their logical decision around the surface level result that you're talking about, which in this case is 20 pounds down in 90 days. But on the other side of that, every single person that's ever buying coaching in any, even if it's money, even if it's fitness, whatever, even if it's mindset, they are paying for the promise of the person that they think they're going to become on the other side, right? People don't just want abs because they want abs. They want abs because they think it's going to get them more girls, or they think it's going to make them more confident, or they think somehow it's going to give them a promotion at work. People don't just want more money to have more money. They want more money so they have the respect, the status, and everything else that they believe is going to come with that, right? Or maybe they're just going to quiet their own self-loathing with a little bit more money in the bank account. Who knows? So who do they become on the other side, right? We actually want to create what I call an aspirational identity so we can constantly show who they can become. When we create an aspirational identity, it makes a lot of sense to break it down to 3. We can have way more than this, but we break it down to currencies that everyone understands. Everyone understands time, everyone understands money, and everyone understands energy. So we can begin to start speaking about who people become on the other side of working with you in time, energy, money, and everything else. The more tangible this can be, the better. It doesn't have to be super, super tangible like your core offer promise, but this, again, gives us another thing to start to add into the content. So not only are they seeing where they're going to go in like that short space of time, like in 90 days, not only are they being sold on how they're actually going to do it, so you can sell them not only on not only on the the result that they're going to get, but you can also sell them on the 25-minute workout or something like that, right? So they're excited about that and they think that's going to be the answer to their questions, but you can also sell them on who they're going to become. And we can make this clear, right? This could be called, super generic, horrible name. This could be called a super dad, right? Super dad. And we can give it a name. We can define what this aspirational identity is. And then we can show the life, because you should be going towards becoming your aspirational identity as well. And you're probably going to be closer than your clients. We show you and your clients becoming it, and we show the pathway, which of course is the how. So I do this with my own. I call the clients that I work with the aligned creators. And I define clearly what it means to be an aligned creator, right? So when we now have the what, the way, the why, the how, and the who, we can be selling people on the way that we do things, why it is important, and that why can be polarizing. You know, like the money one, where I said you can go and travel and stuff, like you can speak to that, because the people that don't have those values are then going to switch off, and the people that do are going to turn on. The how, the signature process, the mechanisms, and the who do they become? All of this works together, right? Can you see when you have all of this locked in, can you see just how much deeper your content can go? Because a sale is made when the person on the other side who's reading the content is sold on the ideas that are already within your content. So if they're sold on where they're going to go, who they're going to become, and all of the mechanisms that they are going to use that nobody else has, because you created it as the expert, and they're sold on that, they're going to drop you a message one night, and they're going to say, I want to work with you, and they're going to close in the DMs because they only want to work with you. On the other side, just very quickly, we also do some world building here as well. So we don't just speak about the offer, but in your content, we also want to just give people an insight into your world. I break the world into three things, which is people, places, and storylines. Who are the people that you're around? Where are the places that you often spend time in? And what storylines are you within, right? We're not going to go too deep into that, but when we can speak about the core offer in all of these ways, and we can also show insights into your world, your content becomes very, very magnetic. But can you see how, right? All of this now just becomes context creating. Your content wants to create context for your coaching, CCC. Do you see what we're saying here? So when most people are just random tips, all of your content is going to come from your core offer and all of these different pieces and the ideas within it. Every single piece of content wants to give people a little bit more context on your way, your how, or your who. And we're going to show it so people eventually get sold on these things. So then when they come face to face with your offer, it's all these things that they've seen before. It's all these things that they've already become familiar with and hopefully already been sold on. So they say yes, right? So that is how we can start to create your core offer, or at least think about it, because core offer goes way deeper than this, but at least think about that to start to have some ideas to sell. And then once we've done that, it begins to look a little bit like this, right? So we have your core offer, which is made up of the what, the way, and the why. Now, your core offer sells a what, right? Your core offer sells a surface level promise that is going to take them towards. Within that offer, within the process of taking them towards that surface level promise, you are going to have three unique mechanisms that you created, finding the middle ground between the science and principles and the real life application for your demographic and niche and avatar and everything else, and finding that middle ground and creating things from being an expert. And then your content does one thing, creates context around your unique mechanisms, whilst also showing the aspirational identity, right? So within this, creating context. So let's say one of mine is the multi-tier offer, right? So I help coaches create a solo business, building it to 20K months, and a very aligned business as well. And one of the main mechanisms that we use is the multi-tier offer, which is a single offer, single mechanism, single process for a single person, but multiple tiers of access. And it allows us to do loads of things. It allows us to have leverage delivery. It allows us to make it very easy for people to say yes to us and very easy to get more money from them because we can upsell them and everything else. It makes it very easy to up our prices and lower our prices and everything else, right? So if I'm marketing, I want to constantly give context to the multi-tier offer. So eventually people will say to me, I really want to learn more about the multi-tier offer. Can we work together? Which has happened a lot of times. So how do we add context? Well, I've broken it down to 3 P's to make it really easy and really simple. We want to show that single unique mechanism in 3 P's: philosophy, proof, and problem. Now, these don't have to be one or the other. There's always going to be elements of each. This is just categories that help us think about it. You're not going to sit down and think, I want to do a philosophy post today, and it has to stay within that. There's always going to be elements of each. But let's take the multi-tier offer, one single offer, multiple tiers, one of my mechanisms, and let's look at how we can do this. I'm making this up on the spot, so let's have a look. So multi-tier offer, philosophy. So we want to share one of our beliefs, our philosophies, our personal philosophies, and link it back to why this made us create the mechanism. So I might say that I want to spend my time coaching clients and creating really cool shit for my community. I don't want to spend my time convincing people they want to work with me, and I don't want to spend my time DMing loads of people so I could book a sales call, and I don't want to spend my time on sales calls. This is why I created the multi-tier offer. So I can sell in the DMs, so I can sell with ease, and I don't have to do sales calls, so I can focus on the thing that I like, right? So obviously that would be a whole post, but you can see how this shares my philosophy while also giving context to a mechanism. Other people that have the same philosophy but do not have the mechanism now want the mechanism. Next, proof. So we're going to have a proof one here. Let me give you an example of this here. So proof one is here, right? So I've got 2 examples to give you here because I want to go deep into this. So multi-tier offer, we're actually already talking about it. This is Jack. So this is an example of a real bit of content that I put out. Now, Jack did, I don't even know, I haven't actually read through this for a very long time, but Jack, I was posting some social proofs here. He obviously had some good wins here. Many people, when they post a win, they just celebrate the client. They're just like, this client has worked really hard, this client's worked well. We don't want to waste an opportunity to give real context. We want to actually give context to the thing that we are trying to give context to, and use the proof to actually be the vehicle for that. So let's read through this. Let me tell you about my client, Jack. He had a great mindset coach business, but it was totally one-to-one. He only made sales when it was locked on a Zoom call. Sales calls were hard to book, and he was relying on upfront payments. His marketing was very samey because he was only selling one thing. His price point was down the middle because he had one price point and didn't want to put people off. When he joined me, we strategized how to get to 6 figures. The problem we had to solve for: more consistent sales, more opportunities, more cash flow. The answer, so this is problems that everyone's going to experience. The answer, the multi-tier offer. Do you see how I don't just say something in someone else's language? I use my language that I want to be known for. I want the multi-tier offer to be in people's heads. I want people to say that back to me, and they do now, right? We got his offer a little clearer, introduced a community tier underneath the one-to-one that his one-to-one clients got access to as well. His community clients now pay him $200 to get access to him in a group capacity and courses on all kinds of mindset subjects. Then his one-to-one clients pay him way more than they did before because he can afford to push that price point up. Now, guess what? Problems are solved, rate of sales has increased, and he's hit the 6-figure run rate. Here's how the multi-tier offer has helped him increase sales. So do you see how I'm talking about the win, but I'm sharing exactly how the mechanism that I constantly show did it, right? Many coaches will just say, I'm really great, and here's how I was able to help them do it. We don't want to do that because everyone's doing that. We want to sell them on a unique mechanism that you have created. And then I'm not going to bore you with this. You can actually read it yourself. I'll put it in the description below. But this just goes into kind of like each and every angle of the multi-tier offer so they can start to see it, right? And next is problem. So problem is, we know that people are going to have a certain problem and we can solve it. So being able to show how your unique mechanism solves the problem is going to be another angle that we can take with the content, right? So let me show you another example of this as well. So this is sharing all of my way and all of my mechanisms, but I think it's quite useful because this kind of covers all bases. So this was an email that I put out. The Aligned Creator Way is a philosophy, a way of being. It's about consciously creating blah, 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 blah. This shows what being an aligned creator is about. That's the aspirational identity, right? So straight away, I'm defining that. And here's what's really important. I'm defining it very clearly and tangibly to the point where not everyone's going to like it. Most people make the problem when they start to define things in their business that they keep it so vague so that everyone would say, yeah, that sounds good. Everything in your business, your offer and everything within the offer wants to be clear enough for people to say no to. So see how I've done this? Using creativity and leadership as your engine. Attracting, not chasing dream clients with your unique ideas, philosophies, and who you are being. Some people don't like the idea of that. And this one, operating as a highly leveraged, simple, solo business that can be run from anywhere and built in just 4 hours per day. Again, some people don't want that. Some people want to build big teams, and I'm not the person for them. Then as we go in, this is not just a good idea. To support the Aligned Creator Way, we have the Aligned Creator Model. And then I run people through my mechanisms, right? Market leader messaging, the indoctrination funnel, the sales rhythm, and the multi-tier offer. And I'm giving each and every one of them context here and showing where they fit into the overall system so people can start to see that it flows like clockwork. The beauty is in its simplicity. I'll let you pause this if you want to have a read. There you go. But as you can see, this is what the content wants to start to look like. So let's dig into this. The purpose of your content, to constantly give context to your way and all of your mechanisms that you use, to show yourself and your clients using them to great effect, and to sell your audience on the idea that the mechanisms are the answer. Because we can't just sell them on coaching because then we're selling them on everyone. We can't just sell them on the result because then we're selling them to everyone. We have to have the ideas and the mechanisms to then be able to sell them on. How does this create pre-sold leads that can close in the DMs? You're positioning yourself now as a market of one. You're selling them on all the ideas within your coaching anyway. So when they come face to face with your offer, they understand all of the pieces already. This is how we make sales in the DMs. This is how our content generates actual inbound leads, because we're not just posting random tips, but we consistently sell people on the ideas of your unique mechanisms. And if there's one thing that I want you to remember from all of this video, it's that your content exists to give people context and sell them on ideas. Because once you're clear on your mechanisms and someone believes that mechanism one is going to, let's say you're a fitness coach, what mechanism one's going to help them out on their training problems, mechanism two is going to help out on their lifestyle problems or time problems, and mechanism three is going to help out on their nutrition problems. And you keep giving more and more evidence to this actually happening and them being correct, they want to work with you and no one else. The big problem that I see across the board with coaches and creators is they don't see themselves, like they don't think like actual businesses. Like, this isn't unusual to think. It's just unusual to think about in coaching and creating. This is not unusual to think in other businesses. We want a unique angle. We want all of these things. But in coaching and creating, it's not there for some reason, right? This makes sense. And eventually, you can create an ecosystem around your mechanisms. So real quick little look into the future, right? So this is what we do. Eventually, we always think a bit of it as this, right? We want to be known for our unique mechanisms, and we want to make our unique mechanism famous in the market. So think about Atomic Habits, written by James Clear, right? He's made his core, he was a blogger before that book, and he made his core idea bigger than him. You hear about Atomic Habits before James Clear. Think about Daniel Priestley, who has KPI, key person of influence. That was one of his many books, and he's pushed that book. He's pushed that idea. I'm pretty certain he's got a business coaching program that is called KPI as well. And this is the big idea that everything's based around for him at this point, right? We want your ideas to be so famous you are known for them and people come to you for that. So this is exactly what I've done with multiple different ideas. And then here's what we do afterwards. Once this idea is starting to get gravity in the market and people are starting to understand it, we want to be able to give people a test drive of it. So we create this indoctrination ladder, right? So we create a lead magnet. So this might be, for me, the multitieroffer.com. They can come in and they can have a lead magnet around what the multi-tier offer is and how it works. But really, it mostly just sells them on the problem, because most of marketing, 80% of marketing is selling the problem, 20% is selling the solution. So it mainly sells them on the problem of what they're experiencing because they haven't got the multi-tier offer. And then we can sell them for like a £50 product, or something like that, depending on the niche, depending on how it's going. We can sell them on a digital product that gives them that tiny piece of your program. Doesn't give them everything, doesn't give them any of your time or energy, but it gives them something. So then we can identify the highest intent leads that are coming through. We can follow up with them, we can have a chat, and they can test drive and have a taste of what we do. And then that brings them all the way through, and then these people become clients. That can be our audience, or that could even be paid ads coming through. I currently, just last week, I have a running coach, and he's doing tiny ads, £20 over a week on ads. And in £20 a week, he's doing this. He's selling an ebook around a core offer of his. An ebook around a core idea, a unique mechanism of his. He spent £20 on ads last week. He got 150 followers, and he got £72 back from people buying the ebook and an order bump. So he made a profit on the front end, and he also got 150 followers, which means this week he's doubling his ad spend. When we can do things like this, you are being able to really push out those ideas into the market, and you're actually able to scale those ads up as well, because the money's being liquidated. So guys, that's how you do it. That is how you create content that actually sells.